I was half asleep, scrolling YouTube the way you do when you don't want silence, but also don't want to think. The room was dark except for my laptop, my city humming faintly outside the window, ordinary in every sense that mattered. I clicked a recommended video without really reading the title. It looked old, grainy, the kind of forgotten upload you expect to be background noise. What caught my attention wasn't the thumbnail. It was the upload date, 2011. Older than my laptop, older than the account I was signed into. And yet, 30 seconds in, the man in the video calmly described what had just happened 3 hours earlier on live television. Not vaguely, not symbolically. He repeated the anchor's exact words, the awkward pause before the breaking news graphic, even the nervous cough that everyone online had been mocking all evening. He named my city, said the street, said the time. I laughed at first. A short, sharp sound, like my brain trying to protect itself. Coincidence, I told myself. A re-upload. A clever edit. Anything but what it looked like. I scrubbed the timeline back and watched again. Same phrases. Same cadence. Same impossible certainty. The comments were turned off. The description was empty. No links. No explanation. Just the video, sitting there, patient. I checked the date again. 2011. I refreshed the page. Same thing. I opened another tab and searched the phrases he used. News articles from tonight popped up instantly. I felt that cold, sinking pressure in my chest, the kind you get right before bad news sinks its teeth in. This wasn't prediction. It was documentation, and it had been waiting more than a decade for me to see it. I almost closed the tab. I swear I did. My finger hovered over the X, and for a moment I imagined going to bed, waking up tomorrow, telling myself I'd been tired and dramatic. That urge felt important later, like some small instinct trying to save me. I remember thinking the algorithm had finally broken, that I'd slipped into some glitchy corner of the site no one bothered cleaning, a digital attic where old things whispered because nobody was listening anymore at all tonight alone. Because under the video, I noticed something else. A channel name I didn't recognize. A list of uploads stretching back years. Dozens of them. All with dates that didn't make sense. All with titles that felt unfinished, like sentences cut off mid-thought. That's when I clicked the channel. I should probably explain who I am before this gets any stranger. I'm not a hacker, not a conspiracy guy, not even particularly tech-savvy. I work a forgettable job, pay rent late more often than I should, and use YouTube the same way most people do, to fill empty rooms with sound. That night, I wasn't hunting mysteries. I just couldn't sleep. Insomnia does that thing where your brain feels loud but empty, so I let autoplay run while I stared at the ceiling. Old interviews, half-remembered documentaries, clips from channels I forgot existed. The algorithm tossed me garbage with confidence. Videos I'd never searched for, creators with 3 subscribers, titles written like they were dared to exist. I joked, out loud, that YouTube was running out of content and scraping the bottom of the internet. The channel didn't look special. That's the part that still bothers me. No creepy branding. No ominous name. Just a string of low-resolution thumbnails, all slightly crooked, like screenshots taken in a hurry. Most of them were gray, washed-out frames of places that meant nothing to me yet. Empty streets. Empty rooms. Titles like Update, Recording, or just dates with no context. The descriptions were worse. Single sentences. Sometimes just a period. Sometimes nothing at all. If this were a horror story, that's where the music would swell. But nothing felt wrong yet. It felt boring. Dead. Like an abandoned channel nobody remembered to delete. Subscriber count barely in the double digits. No community tab. No pinned comments begging for likes. Just silence and dust. I scrolled past it first. I really did. My brain filed it under late-night nonsense. The same category as videos of ceiling fans and VHS transfers of local commercials. I even laughed when autoplay nudged another one forward. Nice try. I muttered, like the algorithm could hear me. Then I noticed something no one else in the comments had. Or maybe they never thought to look. Every upload was separated by months, sometimes years, but the dates were precise. Always the same time of day. Always off by just enough to feel deliberate. And none of them matched what the videos contained. That's when normal stopped feeling normal. I scrolled back to the top and started checking the upload dates one by one, slower this time. My thumb hesitating between each video, my stomach tightening for reasons I couldn't yet explain. I told myself it was just pattern hunting, the same impulse that makes faces in clouds and meaning in static. Still, I kept counting, comparing, refreshing. The more I looked, the quieter the room felt, like the night itself was leaning in. Somewhere between the third and fourth date, I realized my pulse had synced with the scroll wheel. That was when a joke stopped forming on my lips, and a question replaced it. Not what the videos were, but why they were waiting. Waiting long enough for someone like me to notice. And once I saw it, I knew sleep was officially done for the night, forever maybe. I clicked into the channel like I was opening a door I didn't believe was real. The page loaded slowly, as if it hadn't been accessed in years, and the first thing I saw was the creation date. 2009. The year sat there quietly, unremarkable, but it explained the decay. This channel wasn't abandoned recently. It had been left behind by time itself. There was no profile picture, no banner, no attempt at personality. The name was a string of letters and numbers that meant nothing to me, the kind YouTube auto-generates when someone never bothers to change it. Underneath, a subscriber count so low it felt almost private, like I wasn't supposed to be here. I scrolled. Uploads appeared every few months, sometimes every half year, never on a schedule I could recognize. No community posts, no updates, no back soon messages or explanations for the gaps. Just videos. Waiting. The About page was blank. Not even a sentence. Just white space, like the channel itself had nothing to say beyond what it showed. Most comments were disabled. On the few videos where they were allowed, the sections were empty in a way that felt intentional. No spam. No bots. No confused viewers asking what they'd stumbled onto. Just silence. As if people watched, understood something they weren't supposed to, and decided not to speak. I started opening videos at random. A recording from 2012 showed a flooded underpass in another state. At the time it was uploaded, that area was bone dry. 2 years later, I found the news footage. Same angle. Same cars abandoned at the same tilt. Another video calmly described a power outage in a foreign city, naming the district and duration. I checked. It happened exactly 9 months after the upload. Every video was right. Just early. There were rules, I realized. The upload dates never changed. The titles never explained anything. The tone was always neutral, detached, like the person behind the camera wasn't predicting or warning, just documenting. No emotion, no reaction, as if the events were already finished somewhere else. The timestamps inside the videos mattered too. They always started before anything went wrong, and they always ended too early. No aftermath, no resolution, just the moment before impact. Cut clean, like someone refusing to watch consequences unfold. The worst part was the consistency. Big events, small ones, disasters and footnotes. Nothing was too insignificant. A factory closure, a bridge repair gone wrong, a local election nobody remembered caring about. All of it was there first, buried in grainy footage and flat narration that felt almost bored by fate itself. Then I found one that hadn't happened yet. The date was years old, like the rest, but the content described something still listed as upcoming on official sites. No confirmation, no headlines, just a calm explanation of how it would unfold, down to the delay, the apology, the phrase, unforeseen circumstances. My skin prickled. I closed the tab, opened it again, checked the calendar like it might have changed. I felt watched, measured, like hesitation itself was being recorded somewhere invisible. That was when curiosity stopped being optional. If this channel was accurate, then accuracy could be tested. And if it failed, I could walk away. I told myself that like a promise, already knowing I was lying. Deeply, deliberately lying. Completely. After that, I stopped skimming and started verifying. I opened a spreadsheet, because that felt sane, and began lining up videos with dates, locations, Names. Local disasters were easiest. A warehouse fire from 2014, uploaded in 2012. The video showed smoke rising behind a fence, the narrator saying, "The sprinklers won't engage." News footage confirmed it later. Same angle, same delay. Another clip described a bridge closure in my state, calmly noting, "Traffic will reroute for 6 hours." It did. Exactly 6. Celebrity deaths came next. That felt wrong, like gossiping with a ghost. One video from 2013 mentioned a musician I grew up with, saying only, "Found at home. No signs of struggle." I remembered the headlines years later, remembered arguing with friends about whether it was accidental. The phrasing matched perfectly. I paused the video and felt my stomach drop, like I'd read a spoiler for something sacred. Political chaos followed, broader and uglier. Elections decided by margins so slim they sounded fictional when the channel mentioned them. Protests described before the chants were ever invented. Police will deploy tear gas after sunset, the voice said in one upload. That sentence existed online months before the footage it described ever did. I kept going. Hours passed unnoticed. My room grew cold. The world outside continued as if nothing fundamental had shifted, which somehow made it worse. Public events were terrifying, but they were distant, abstract. Then I hit the small ones. A video from 2015 showed a suburban street that looked painfully familiar. The narrator said, "Single vehicle accident. Driver survived. Passenger did not." He paused, then added, "Name withheld." I recognized the mailbox. I recognized the curve in the road. I remembered the funeral. I remembered standing awkwardly at the back because I hadn't been close enough to justify crying. Another video mentioned a hospital wing shutting down temporarily. Another described a school lockdown that lasted 12 minutes. I found records for all of them. I found forum posts, archived tweets, blurry news clips that confirmed details nobody bothered remembering anymore. These weren't guesses. Guessing leaves room for error. This left none. These videos didn't speculate. They remembered. That was the realization that finally made my hands shake. Prediction implies uncertainty. This was something else entirely, like someone had pressed rewind on reality and uploaded the highlights. The deeper I dug, the clearer the intent became. There were no corrections, no follow-ups, no attempts to clarify misunderstandings. Each upload stood alone, confident, finished. Even when the footage was shaky or the audio clipped, the information never wavered. It felt less like someone guessing the future and more like someone transcribing it from memory, choosing what to include and what to omit with quiet precision. That selectiveness scared me more than any disaster ever could. It suggested intent, awareness, and a perspective that existed outside the moment itself. That implication followed me as I stared at the screen, long after I should have stopped. And I did not. Not yet anyway. Then. I should have walked away then. Any reasonable person would have. Instead, I scrolled back to the channel page, heart racing, eyes burning, and sorted the uploads by date. I needed to see the most recent one. I froze when I saw it. The newest upload, listed not as yesterday, not even today, but tomorrow. My screen glitched for a second, flickering like it couldn't decide whether to show me the truth. The thumbnail was blank. Nothing. Just a gray rectangle hovering over the timestamp. No description. No hints. Just January 30th, 2026, 1400 hours, in tiny, almost clinical font. I clicked. The video opened to static, the kind that felt borrowed from old VHS tapes. Then slowly a room appeared. Empty. A street corner I vaguely recognized. The narrator in the video, Grainy, faceless, spoke in calm tones about events that, technically, had not yet occurred. At 2:17, a car will swerve into the sidewalk on Maple Street. A pedestrian will stagger backward, narrowly avoiding the wheels. Police will arrive within 7 minutes. I sat, rigid, as the description of each mundane and specific event unfolded. The voice didn't hesitate. It didn't speculate. It simply stated facts. Facts that, by all reason, shouldn't exist yet. And then it turned directly to me. Not visually. There was no camera movement, but in words. He will see this video tonight. He will feel the familiar chill. He will scroll again. He will not stop. I knew it was me. I didn't know how, but the phrasing was unmistakable. The use of my habits, my sleepless scrolling, my obsession with dates. It was all there. The line wasn't a prediction. It was a warning. One that made my skin crawl in ways normal warnings never could. My fingers hovered over the mouse, over the tab close button. My rational mind screamed at me to turn away, to shut the laptop, to forget. But there was curiosity, too. The kind that feels like it's stitched into your nerves. I kept watching. The rest of the video went on, narrating my city, streets I had walked an hour before, buildings I recognized from small details, like graffiti on a corner or a cracked pavement tile. The video was so precise that I almost imagined it had been shot from my own eyes. Every detail seemed designed to anchor me, to convince me that the channel wasn't merely predicting the world, it was observing it. When it ended, the screen went black for a long, impossible beat. And then the final words appeared, typed over the static. Do not look for me. Do not ask for me. But he will. I leaned back. My pulse raced. Sweat prickled my temples. This was no coincidence. No random algorithm or glitch. Someone, or something, knew exactly who I was. Exactly where I was. The only logical thing left, I told myself, was the comments. People always notice. People always theorize. Maybe someone had noticed this too. Maybe someone could explain why a video dated tomorrow could already describe today, and even me. I scrolled down, heart hammering. I hesitated before scrolling down. Normally, comment sections are just noise, a swamp of emojis, arguments, and the occasional desperate question about the weather. But this one wasn't normal. Not even close. The first thing I noticed, accounts that no longer existed. Every other comment was by a user labeled deleted, but their words remained sharp and precise. He sees it again. One read, timestamped 3 years ago. Another, do not scroll past midnight. You will regret it. Some were in all caps. Some were strings of symbols that made no sense at first, until I noticed the repetition. Triangles, inverted crosses, arrows pointing right. A pattern. A language of people who'd been here before. Then there were the others. Active accounts, commenting as if they were speaking from somewhere outside time. Been here before. You'll find the same last line every cycle. Wrote one, cryptically. Another, ignore the dates at your own peril. Some of us did. I felt a chill. The way they spoke wasn't casual. It was knowing. Observant. They weren't speculating, they were warning. And it wasn't just abstract danger. Some comments referenced actual events, personal details, almost like they were reading my life along with the video. One mentioned a street I'd walked on this morning. Another, a name I recognized from a minor incident years ago. Some comments stopped abruptly after certain dates, almost like the commenter had been removed. I kept scrolling, stomach tightening with each blank space that followed a user's last post. The in-jokes were subtle. Certain phrases kept repeating. The loop begins at the top. He will watch it twice. Remember the triangle. Emojis peppered the text, not random, but consistent, a sort of code. It was as if this was a community that existed alongside the channel, speaking in a language the algorithm couldn't understand, or perhaps didn't want to. And I wasn't just an observer. Reading it, I realized, made me part of it too. I tried to explain it rationally. Maybe a Reddit thread had been copied into the comment section. Maybe some strange glitch preserved abandoned warnings. But the weight of certainty kept building with each comment I read. These weren't hoaxes. They were records, like the videos themselves. Then I found one that froze me completely. Unlike the others, it wasn't cryptic or symbolic. It was precise. A real-world address, and next to it, a name I knew. A single line. He will be here at 2:17. Watch closely. Everything went still. I could feel the room breathe with me. Somewhere deep in my chest, I knew the comment wasn't just a warning. It was a promise. And it wasn't meant for anyone else. I closed my eyes for a second, counting to 3, before opening them again. That's when I decided I had to see the next video. It arrived the next morning. Not in my inbox, not in my feed, but as a single notification blinking insistently in the corner of my screen. I didn't recognize the alert at first. It had no subscriber icon, no familiar name, just the faint outline of the channel's letters and the word unlisted. My heart sank before I even clicked. The video loaded instantly, though the title was still just a timestamp. No context, no explanation. The opening shot was my street, my house. Grainy, shaky footage, like someone had filmed it from a distance, but not far enough to obscure details. The narrator began speaking immediately, calm, detached, almost bored, just like the other videos. And then, something impossible. It used my childhood nickname. The one I hadn't heard anyone call me in years. The one I thought I had buried somewhere deep in memory. "You know this place," the video said. "You have walked here before. You know the smell of the grass after rain. You know the crooked fence post. You remember when he first said your nickname." I froze. My pulse thudded so loud I could hear it echo in my skull. The words weren't random. They weren't guesses. They were mine. Each phrase hit like a memory, precise and intimate. The video described actions I had taken yesterday, routines I had repeated without thinking, my coffee mug on the counter, the book I set aside, even the small patch of sunlight that always falls across my desk at this hour. It felt like being watched by a presence that had been inside my life the whole time, invisible but aware of every choice. Every mundane habit I had thought private, every fleeting thought. The channel wasn't predicting anymore. It was observing, recording, naming, and addressing me directly, like it knew I would find it. "You look away," the narrator said, tone neutral. "But you will return. You always return. You will scroll past the old videos. You will read the comments. You will recognize the patterns. And I will wait." My hands were trembling on the keyboard. The ordinary fear of internet strangers had been replaced by something much colder, more precise. This wasn't some anonymous creep posting random details. This was an entity, or a person, who understood my life in a way that no one else did. I tried rational explanations. Maybe my device had been hacked. Maybe someone had tracked my IP or my search history. But even then, how would they know my nickname? How would they know the exact sequence of events that led me to click the unlisted video? How would they predict my reaction to seeing it? I sat frozen, replaying the video again and again. Each viewing revealed more. The crack in my bedroom window frame, the faint stain on the kitchen floor, details I had never thought anyone else noticed. Every frame, every line of dialogue, tightened the invisible grip I felt around me. By the time I stopped, my chest ached and my fingers were numb. I knew I couldn't face this alone. There was only one thing left to do. I had to contact someone else. Someone who might have seen this too, who could confirm I wasn't losing my mind entirely. But as I opened my messaging app, doubt crept in like a shadow. Would anyone believe me? And if they did, what if the channel already knew I was reaching out? I wasn't the first person to go looking for answers. That became clear within minutes of searching. Reddit threads buried under years of dust. Archived forums with broken images and usernames that no longer resolved. Private messages from people who had once tried to connect dots and then stopped abruptly, mid-sentence sometimes, as if interrupted. They all circled the same thing, the channel. Most of them called themselves researchers, though none sounded professional. Just insomniacs, archivists, curious people who noticed patterns and couldn't let them go. One Reddit post from 2016 detailed the exact same experience I'd had, right down to the unlisted upload. The author ended with, "If you're reading this, stop." Their account was deleted 2 days later. I started sending messages. Careful ones. Neutral ones. A few replies came back quickly, as if the recipients had been waiting for someone else to notice. One said, "Don't dig. Attention makes it worse." Another warned me not to document anything offline. "It watches reactions," they wrote. Not just clicks. Some users had vanished entirely. Their last activity lined up suspiciously well with upload dates on the channel. A forum moderator posted a final update saying 3 contributors had gone silent after finding something personal. No further explanation. No follow-up. Just an empty thread that felt like a digital memorial. A pattern emerged across platforms. The more attention someone gave the channel, the more specific it became. Casual viewers saw disasters. Dedicated watchers saw cities. The ones who analyzed deeply began seeing themselves. It wasn't feeding on views. It was refining focus, sharpening its gaze with every question asked and every theory shared. Several posts mentioned a rule nobody could prove, but everyone respected. Never watch alone, and never watch twice in one sitting. Those who broke it stopped posting soon after. Some accounts ended with apologies, others with strange gratitude, as if understanding came at a cost they'd accepted willingly. The deeper I looked, the more I realized the channel wasn't unique. Others like it had existed before, similar formatting, similar neutrality, similar impossible accuracy. But those channels were gone now. Deleted. Scrubbed. Forgotten. This one was simply the last still standing. The last archive still breathing. One message stuck with me more than the others. It was short, almost casual. Most people don't survive curiosity, it said. Not physically, just intact. I stared at that line for a long time, wondering what intact meant in this context, and whether I still qualified. I refreshed the channel page again and again, watching the timestamps, checking the server time, convincing myself that no news was good news, even though dread kept building. As night fell again, I refreshed the channel page compulsively, expecting another notification, another impossible upload. Nothing. No new video. No warning. The absence felt heavier than any threat. If the pattern held, something was coming. And for the first time since this started, I realized I didn't want to see it. I needed proof I could stop. I closed the browser and sat in silence, heart pounding, waiting for an upload that hadn't arrived yet. It never came. Prediction isn't passive. It's participation. I didn't understand that at first. I thought the channel was just a window, something you could look through without consequence, like reading history after it's already happened. But the more I read, the more I watched, the clearer it became that observation itself was part of the mechanism. Watching didn't reveal the future. It finalized it. The ideas surfaced in fragments, scattered across posts and half-finished messages. One person phrased it bluntly. The video isn't the warning. You are. Another wrote that the channel only uploads what has already been agreed upon, though they never explained agreed upon by whom. The phrase kept repeating in my head as I revisited the videos. The calm tone. The lack of urgency. They weren't trying to change anything. They were confirming it. That's when the guilt crept in, heavy and slow. If the events always happened after the videos were watched, then what did that say about my role? About everyone who clicked play, who stayed until the end, who replayed sections to catch details. The loop wasn't complete until it was witnessed. That was the rule nobody wanted to say out loud. The channel needed an audience, not for attention, but for permission. I thought back to the unlisted video, to the way it described my reactions before I had them. It wasn't guessing. It was waiting for me to do exactly what I did. The realization hit like a delayed echo. If I hadn't watched, if I'd closed the tab that first night, would anything have changed? Or was the act of finding it already enough? The worst part was what that meant for anyone listening now. You. I could feel the story folding in on itself, tightening like a knot. The channel didn't care who you were. It only cared that you were here, paying attention, letting the information settle into you. That made you part of the process, whether you wanted to be or not. I stopped checking for new uploads after that. Not because I felt safe, but because I was afraid of what confirmation would mean. The channel thrived on certainty, and certainty was something I could no longer afford. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about the timing, the precise intervals between uploads, the way everything seemed to build toward a moment that hadn't arrived yet. I knew the next video would come. I could feel it approaching like a held breath. The countdown wasn't on the channel page. It was in my head. I wasn't expecting it. The next upload appeared hours early, before I had even finished thinking about it. My notifications didn't flash. The page didn't refresh. It just existed. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the mouse, a cold knot forming in my stomach. Then, against every instinct, I clicked. The video opened with static. I blinked. And then, my room. My desk. My laptop. The screen showed exactly what I was seeing now, the way it had sat on my lap, the angle of the lamp casting shadows across my keyboard. At first, I thought it was a trick of light, a clever overlay. But then I heard it. A voice. Calm, detached. Familiar. My own. I should have stopped. It said, in perfect sync with the thoughts I was having. I froze. The words weren't coming from me. They were coming from the video. My own voice, describing what I was doing, what I was thinking, before I had said it aloud. I heard myself speak before I opened my mouth. The hair on my arms rose, and the room seemed to contract, like the walls had leaned in closer. The footage didn't stop at simple observation. It tracked movements I hadn't thought anyone could know. My hand shaking over the mouse. The subtle tap of my foot against the floor. My reflection in the darkened monitor. Every twitch, every hesitation, every whisper of breath, recorded, replayed, and narrated in a voice that sounded almost like mine, yet not quite. I tried to close the tab, but the cursor wouldn't move. My fingers twitched in protest. The video continued, overlapping with the sound of my own thoughts. He knows it's coming, it said. He cannot turn away. He will scroll again. He will watch again. Time itself began to warp. Seconds stretched and compressed. My memories of past nights, the hours I had spent verifying old videos, the moments I had read comments and sent messages, merged with the footage on the screen. I felt trapped inside an echo, a loop with no exit. Every action I remembered taking had already been anticipated, already been cataloged. I realized, with a rising panic, that the channel had broken the rules I thought were fixed. Uploads weren't just predictive or observational anymore. They were recursive. They were alive in a sense that defied comprehension, folding my own timeline back onto itself. I whispered aloud, almost to test the line between reality and recording. What do you want from me? And the video answered, in my own voice. You are the proof. You are the witness. You are the loop. I sank back in my chair, chest tight, feeling the walls of my room pulse with a rhythm that wasn't mine. My pulse wasn't mine anymore. The video ended abruptly, fading to black, but the echo of it remained, replaying in my head, in the shadows, in the silent thrum of the night. I turned slowly, realizing the truth. This wasn't just observation. This wasn't just prediction. I was part of it. And if you are listening, so are you. I need to be clear. Stop looking for it. Don't search the channel. Don't click links. Don't share it. Don't comment. Whatever curiosity brought you here, whatever small, rational thought convinced you it would be okay, it's already too late. If you're hearing this, if you've made it this far, the loop is active. You're part of it now, just like I am. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's impossible. That it can't be watching you too. That you're safe behind the screen. That ignorance will save you. It won't. Someone in the comments already knows. Someone who has followed the same chain of clicks and notifications. Someone who has seen exactly how it folds time around those who dare to look. You want to scroll anyway. I can feel it through the words you're reading. You want to open another tab, follow another lead, see the thumbnail, check the date. That's what it thrives on. Attention isn't passive. It isn't just statistics. Attention completes the circuit. It gives life to the otherwise impossible. If you think you can be clever, I won't stop you. But understand this. Every second you spend reading, theorizing, replaying, makes it easier to find you. And you'll know when it does, because you'll see the details that only you could know. Your habits, your memories, your mistakes. I can't undo what's happened to me. I can't protect you. The best I can do is warn, to try to carve a small space of awareness before the channel pulls you into the same loop I fell into. Engage if you want, share theories, comment, talk to strangers online. But remember, it's a dangerous conversation. And someone is always listening. Check your surroundings. Notice what feels off. Watch the timestamps. Consider the empty thumbnails and the silent accounts. Remember the first video you saw, the one you almost didn't click. Remember the cold, creeping certainty that hit when you realized it wasn't coincidence. That's where it begins. And now you're inside it. I refreshed the channel one last time. And there it is. A new upload. The title is nothing but today's date. My current date. No description. No thumbnail. Just a timestamp and the faintest outline of a gray square hovering over it, waiting. Waiting for someone, anyone, to notice. I realize I am no longer just a viewer. I am part of the archive. Part of the cycle. My presence here has been recorded, cataloged, folded into what comes next. The loop continues, whether I watch or turn away. Check the upload time. It is precise. It is now. And I know, as I stare at it, that the next person who finds this will feel the same creeping certainty, the same chill that started the night I stumbled onto the first video. The screen blinks once, and I understand that silence is not safety, that ignorance is impossible, that some doors, once opened, never close. And as I reach for the mouse, I realize I can't stop. Not now. Not ever.